Good morning, and welcome to Off the Shelf on My 96.7. Sponsored by Mosher's Market in Raymond, family owned since 1976, and by Helpline of Delaware and Morrow counties. Help starts here. Here are your hosts, Nicole Fowles and Molly Meyers LaBadie.
Good morning. Happy Friday. It's a rainy kickoff to the PAL Festival, as we've realized.
Rainy kickoff
happens every year
every
for the
year,
poor
yep.
PAL Festival.
You have some pictures, in fact, that were cracking me up this morning.
Oh my gosh, yeah. In my memories came up a memory from six years ago today that our tent was, all shut up and had wells of water hanging out in the top. And then the year prior, the derecho had come through.
Oh, that derecho.
The derecho. I'd never heard that word before in my life.
And now I will never forget it.
It's like whenever I was first introduced to a nor'easter, I was like, I have no idea. And then the whole cultural phenomenon behind the El Nino, especially with Chris Farley.
The only reason I learned a nor'easter is because Billy Joel wrote a song about it.
Oh,
that's how,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That was my whole education there.
Wish I knew how that went, Nor'easter. I have to find that Billy Joel song.
Yeah, it's a really good, it's my nor'easter something. I'm horrible at lyrics. Lloyd says I just make them all up, and he's not wrong.
Yeah, so if you're out and about this weekend, Pal Fest tonight has Sister Hazel playing, and the Reaganomics are playing.
Is it the Reaganomics are tonight?
They are.
This is their last year.
Yep, this is their farewell
because
tour.
Their lead singer, Keenan Blanky, he is a grandfather.
Oh, congratulations.
And so he wants to spend time with his grandkids. So get out there and enjoy yourself some Reaganomics before it's done.
And tomorrow night, I'm especially excited, Smash Mouth is their headliner.
Oh,
hey,
yes.
Now, you're an all-star. And then they have someone from American Idol whose name is escaping me right now who's opening for Smash Mouth. So I'm very excited. I hope that the rain goes away. Everybody do your anti-rain dance just for tonight and tomorrow night. And then it can come back. Well, we have a very special guest with us this morning. Molly, why don't you do the introduction?
I will. So today we decided to bring as our guest my niece, Adaline Foley, because she has just done something absolutely amazing.
Yes.
She has just gotten back from a trip to Japan.
Yay!
Are you excited? Yay! I know, now I'm just staring at her.
She's still jet lagged.
Yes,
it's okay.
We're still getting her there. But Adaline, do you want to say hi to everybody?
Yeah, it's great being here. A little nervous, but
Yeah, this is the kind of thing that Crazy Aunt Molly just is like, calls you up and is like, you're my guest on the radio. We're going to talk about Japan.
Come in on air. Well, we'll ease you in, Adaline.
Yes.
You're doing a great job already. And one of the things that we do when we start the show is we talk about what we're reading, watching, or listening to.
Yes.
So, Molly, kick us off.
I will absolutely kick us off. I have one that I absolutely fell in love with. So this is a kid's book, but for any Gen Xers out there like me who were kids in the 80s and 90s, absolutely read this book. Don't let that title of being a children's book stop you. This book is called Red, White, and Whole by Rajani LaRocca. And it's a semi-autobiographical for her. It is the story of a young girl whose parents came from India. And she is growing up in 1983 in America. And the story sort of starts about sort of that cultural pull back and forth where her parents kind of want her to be a little more traditional Indian. And she really wants to be an American teenager. And the story goes forward. She's got a very, very close family until one day her mom gets diagnosed with leukemia. Mm-hmm. And I have to say, this book hit me extra hard. When I was in high school, one of my friends in high school, her mother got leukemia too. So it was really interesting to hear the story told in the voice of somebody who would have been the age I was about that time, going through an experience that I was on the outside of. Mm-hmm. The story is beautifully written. It was a Newbery Honor book, so the writing is spectacular. Getting to know Reha and her family and her friends, you're just in for a delightful journey of getting to know their life. In India, out of India, her aunt, she has an amazing aunt, Adaline. Yes, she does. So all of those things that are going into the story are just beautiful. I don't want to spoil anything or say too much, but I will tell you, it's a must-read for all of us Gen Xers.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. Music's in there,
cool.
Pop culture, the clothes. It's all in there. It was wonderful.
Very good. So Red, White, and Whole by
by Rajana LaRocca.
LaRocca. Very nice. Adeline, do you have something that you would like to talk about?
Yeah, so since I just got back from Japan, I thought I'd choose a manga.
Oh,
And
nice.
So one of my favorites is called Erased by Sanbe. And it's about this boy, Satoru, who's a struggling manga artist who has an ability to go back in time and save people from deaths, but it's usually only like a day or a few hours. And so all of a sudden his mother dies and he goes back in time, but instead of going back a day or two, he goes back until his childhood. And he has to figure out one of his classmates goes missing, and so he has to figure out what happened and if there was someone behind it. And so it's just a really good mystery, thriller, psychological book.
It's not the direction I thought it was going to go. I
No.
thought he would want
No.
to change something like about his mother, but
Yeah.
it was in a different direction.
You know what I love about this too is this is just another example. Manga is a type of book that has genres within it because a lot of the manga I've read are romance or, different ones. Here, Adeline's brought us a mystery. And, if you have
Time
tried
traveling.
one manga and you didn't like it, let's say you read Naruto because all your kids were talking about it. Erased is going to have a really different feel, doesn't it, Adeline? Yeah. So I love that you just brought that one in. I haven't read that one, and now I feel like I'm going to have to.
Yes.
To be a
And
good aunt.
There's also an anime series about it.
Is there?
Which is also
That's
pretty good.
awesome. I love it when those connect.
The
And
live action is not the best, though.
Oh, the live action.
Yeah,
Don't do the
I was
live action. And manga is like a graphic novel, still written in English. Is it and then, but you read it back to front, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, I'm like,
Yeah.
that's what I'm like. Why is it? Because you look when you pick it up like a traditional book, you're like, what's happening here? But
Yes.
so it's a whole different reading experience.
Exactly.
I struggled maybe the first 10 pages of the first manga I read, and then it just like your brain really does
Yeah.
adjust quickly, doesn't it, Adeline? Yeah. And I think I started reading them because of her. It was one of the first book series that Adeline really started getting into was
Yeah.
manga.
I can say I have never read once before, so I need to broaden
Well,
my
you
horizons.
do.
Yes. Well, I have a movie to bring to us today. The movie is called The Whale, and it is by a film by Darren Aronofsky, and it stars Brendan Fraser. And of course, I just lost the Wikipedia page that I was referencing.
This one got so much talk, though.
Yes. So why this one is very exciting is because Brendan Fraser's acting in it is just phenomenal. He totally transforms his body for the role. You fail to realize as a layperson watching movies the kind of physical transformation that actors go through for the different parts that they're playing. So the story of The Whale is a story of a man who is morbidly obese, and you come to find out how he got that way. He may have always had a liking to too many, foods that aren't good for him and a sedentary lifestyle. But there was a triggering action that really kind of put him over the top, and where he really stopped caring about himself and stopped caring about his health, and really just kind of dove into the thing that was comfortable for him, which was just all those fried foods and sitting kind of
Comfort.
on his bum. Yeah. And but what he is an English teacher, and he teaches courses online. And his favorite course that he teaches is an analytical course, talking about Moby Dick.
Okay.
And so The Whale is really Herman Melville. It's kind of how does the whale play into the story of Moby Dick, and what does the whale symbolize? And so it starts out with the main character. He is sitting on his couch, and he hears a knock at his door, and he's in the middle of almost a heart attack, like a moment of congestive heart failure. And this knock comes on the door, and he's like, come in now. And the person who opens the door is a missionary. We don't know, necessarily what church or doing what, but we kind of know he's got the backpack and he's got the the black and white outfit. And he's like, Brendan Fraser's character says, read this. And he's like, I don't understand how this is helping. And he's reading an essay that someone has written about the Moby Dick story. And so eventually he kind of, the moment of congestive heart failure passes, and the poor missionary is very confused about what just happened. And then the nurse comes in, which is the only friend that this character has. And she kind of looks at the missionary like, what are you doing? Looks at her friend like, what just happened? And after everything has kind of calmed down, the missionary asks him, why did you have me read that? And he was like, I thought I was dying. I thought this was the last time I was ever going to be able to hear this essay. And if I was dying, those would be the last words that I would want to hear. And from there, all these characters kind of like take a journey together. The missionary is like, God placed me right here at your doorstep at that moment for a reason. Yeah. And I'm not going away. And the nurse has the reason why she's taking care of him. And then a daughter comes into play that has been estranged from him his entire life. And you figure out he wants the daughter to come, and she wants nothing to do with him. But he says, well, I'll pay you just to come sit with me. Yeah. And she says, whatever. And then he realizes that she's a writer and he could help her with her papers. And she says, fine, you can write my papers and I'll sit with you and you'll pay me. And he's like, that's great. Okay. And so they all go on this journey together. The Brendan Fraser won many awards, SAG.
I love Brendan
Academy
Fraser.
Award,
I have always loved Brendan Fraser.
All of these different things. The cast is very small, very well put together. And I actually picked it up because it was a free movie on a Southwest flight that I watched, but the flight was over before the movie was done. And so I know, right? And so I had 30 minutes left in the movie.
Oh no!
And I was like, something is going to happen at the end of this movie, and I don't know what yet. And so I had to get the DVD from the library.
Isn't it nice you could get that for free from the library?
It was very nice. And
Very
then I had to
nice.
ask my husband, do we have something to play a DVD in? And he said, we do. We have our PS4. So yeah, The Whale.
So is there still a disc in there? Yeah.
There is still a disc in there. Yes.
Might you leave that here for me accidentally when you leave this afternoon, this morning?
Oh, maybe I'll have to
We
come
can
back
make these things happen
yeah.
for you, Mark. We can make these things happen.
All right, cool. Good to know people.
Absolutely. So, The Whale, a film by Darren Aronofsky. So we will take a break, and on the other half of the show, we'll come back with Adaline, who will tell us all about her fantastic trip to Japan. There they are.
That's it.
That's what you get. This is Sister Hazel. They're opening. Well, now that they're the headliners at tonight's PAL Festival. So yeah, this will probably be the only song that they'll play that you'll know. There might be there. I was going through their song list yesterday, and I think I could pick out another 2 that I knew.
Yes.
And I think it was only because I owned the album as a kid. So yep.
You're a 90s girl. That's great. You own the album.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I hated buying singles because singles were like $4 for maybe 3 or 4 songs, but you could get the whole album for, maybe somewhere between 15 and 20. And I was like, yeah, I'm going for the album.
Once I discovered Cyndi Lauper, she was just on repeat.
Yeah.
And then she had to put another album out, and she's still on repeat. Adaline knows many of her songs now.
Oh, wow.
You're lucky.
I felt so ashamed because I bought, Eiffel 65. Their one song was Blue. And I bought the whole album, and everybody was like, they're one-hit wonder. And I'm like, no, their album is good. It was like fighting for their musicology. I don't know. I was like, they're good. It was not great. Okay, we're back off the shelf. Nicole, Fowles, Molly, Meyers, LaBadie.
Hello again.
We have Mark on the board for us today. Thank you, Mark. And in studio with us today is Adaline, and she is Molly's niece.
She is my awesome niece.
And you just took a trip to Japan, but tell us how you got there. How did you get to Japan?
Yes.
So it was first school trip. Not to brag, but I helped put together with my teacher. But we were expecting like max 5 people to go, not a big group.
Yeah.
But over 40 kids went just from our school district. So,
Amazing.
Yes, because in the past they'd done what your brother did and your cousin did, which was France and England. But you went up to your teacher and said what?
I think we should go to Japan. Well, he had other options, and so he came up to me and he's like, I have all these options, and started reading off the list, and it was like Venice, and then he said Japan. I was like, yep, that's it.
Yes.
I didn't even hear the other options. I was just like,
So
yeah.
it's not a language-based class. You didn't have kids like who were in the Japanese language club or anything like that. This is just anyone could say, yeah, I'll go to Japan.
Yeah, it was like a school trip. I don't know. EF
But you
tours.
did learn
Cool.
a few phrases, didn't you, while you were there?
Yes,
Can
I
you
did.
say a couple of the phrases that were really useful in Japan?
Probably thank you was used the most. So arigatou gozaimasu. And then like if you're asking how much something is, it's like kore nan desu ka? I don't know.
I went to Germany and tried to order a cup of coffee. So I tried to say cafe in the right way in German.
sure.
And the guy just laughed behind the counter. And I was like, how bad is my accent that I can't even get a cup of coffee? It's a simple word.
Did you
And
get
here
laughed
she's
at,
doing
Adaline,
it.
or were they pretty receptive to
Yeah.
you at least trying?
Yeah, not really. I think a lot of people, understood what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
And I think I knew more than some of my other people who went with me.
So what are you going to take away from the experience? What's something that is a memory that has now been ingrained, a core memory?
Oh, it's just so beautiful. It's like it's nothing like here at all. It's very respectful. Everyone's super nice. A lot of staring though.
A lot of staring.
Yeah, they don't hold back. I'll tell you that. It's just so pretty.
Did you spend most of your time primarily in a city or in the country? Is there a countryside in Japan?
Yes.
Yeah. Where did you spend your time?
Okay, so we spent a few days in Osaka, and then we took the bullet train to Tokyo.
Which that in
But-
itselve is awesome.
Oh, yes, for sure.
Yeah.
On our bullet train, though, we could see some of the countryside, and it's just a whole bunch of like rice fields. And even though we didn't go too far in the country, we still saw some country, but we went through cities. So
Addie, why don't you tell them about the temple you went to that had the extremely awesome animals?
Oh,
I'm trying not to
yes.
give this away. I just got really
Yes.
excited when she told me last
Yeah.
night.
So in Osaka, there's a place called Nara. And when you go to Nara, there are deer everywhere. And these are not like Ohio deer that like
I
are
would
in your
expect not.
yard and whatnot. They are super friendly. You can feed them. If you bow to them, they'll bow back.
What?
Yeah, I know.
Yes, very nice. You can like pet them and stuff. And they're just like all over this like park. And there's a temple. It's really nice.
Yeah.
Though, if you do feed them, they get a bit aggressive.
Nope.
Once you have food in your hand, they're kind of all over you. So there's a little biting involved. But,
There is a little biting involved, yes. I saw some pictures of your friends running.
oh, for
Yeah.
sure. Yes. Lots of running.
Yes.
But that's like what I teach my daughter. Like, when you're with a dog, like you don't run because then it runs. So you'll have to be calm.
Oh,
Yes. But they were looking for food.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
I think that's how I imagine my trip, one day to Yellowstone with the grizzlies around me. Like I give
Oh.
grizzlies some food and then that
not
goes
gonna-
wrong.
No, that's not going to work out well for you at all. Okay, so this is the nerdy library-based question. Did you use any resources to prepare for your trip to Japan?
Okay. Yes, I did. I checked out some books.
Yes.
On, Japan and its culture. I learned a lot about its culture. And
You did a lot of research,
Yes, I
actually.
did.
Yeah.
Since I've always been very fascinated with like, Japan and their culture, so
Yeah.
give me an opportunity to.
So, fun fact about Adaline, she's been going to the Japanese bakeries, the Japanese stores, since she was little. Her room has just always been, this has been in the back of her head her whole life.
Yeah.
And she's gone further than anyone in our family that we know of.
Yeah. What was the flight like? How long was your travel?
Okay.
Anyone prepping to go to Japan, listen.
Yeah, it's gonna be around like total flight from here to Japan is like 15 hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you stayed on one the whole time, or did you have multiple connections?
No. So going there, we went from Columbus to Toronto, which was like an hour at max, and then Toronto to Vancouver, which was like 5 hours or so, and then Vancouver to Japan, or Osaka, I should say, which was like 10, 11 hours ish.
It's a long
was long.
Very
day.
long.
And I would be remiss if I didn't mention, because our friends in the city would also probably mention this, is that City of Delaware has a sister city, which I believe is Osaka.
Is it?
I believe it is Osaka.
I should have gone. The library should have sent me with Adaline as the
That's
responsible
right.
representative.
Yeah. So I'm sure if you're super interested in
We may have to go back,
learning
Addie.
from other cities, then you could join the City of Delaware Sister City Committee and
That is
learn from our friends
awesome.
in Osaka. I think
We're talking about that tomorrow or in the next show here in like 5 minutes or
I
so.
bet they
Seriously,
are.
that's
They are.
awesome.
Yeah.
Good warm up, Adaline.
That's awesome. Any like final parting thoughts that you want to leave, with somebody who's maybe interested in traveling to another country, specifically Japan?
I would say, like I said earlier, be prepared to be stared at. It's very normal there. Also, it's super clean.
Yes.
But you will not find trash cans about anywhere.
Oh,
You have to hold
Hold
trash.
on to your trash.
Yep. Just respect the culture. Be nice, be quiet when you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Especially trains. Things like that. But just like have fun, explore. Maybe learn a few phrases. That'll be helpful.
Adaline also tried all of the food. There was nothing
yeah,
this child
absolutely.
would not try. And
Right on.
that, to me, is if you're going to another country, don't
yeah.
be picky.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Yeah.
I think something that I'm going to take away from what you said at the very beginning of the interview was speak up for
Yeah.
yourself.
Yes.
Because, you said that there were lots of options of trips that your school could have gone on, but you spoke up because you were like, no, this is the one.
Yeah.
And it turns out that not only were you speaking for yourself, but you were speaking for at least 40 others
Yes.
in
For
your school.
sure.
So I think that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
You can't see me listening
Beaming.
audience, but I am beaming. I'm very
Beaming.
proud of this little girl.
Yeah.
What grade are you going into?
I'm going to be a sophomore.
Yes, this little baby girl.
Amazing. You are so brave. Thank you for joining us on air
thank
you. On
today.
air.
Yes. Really wonderful. Well, we're going to talk about a couple of things that we have coming up at the library here in the next week or so. Don't miss tomorrow, Saturday, June 24th at the Liberty Branch Library. It is our very first book sale that the Friends of the Library are
Yes.
hosting at their new location, the Liberty
We
Branch.
are really excited for this. They are really excited for
They
this.
are very excited for this. It is open from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. You could go to
Yes.
the Liberty Branch. It is there on the corner of Holman Stites Roads. And you go down into the lower level, and they're going to have their whole room opened up. It's beautiful. It's like a bookshop. They have
Absolutely.
it with, mystery, biography. They're so proud of themselves.
All of there. And also, Liberty also has something coming up. If you haven't had a chance to get there, we've got the Rockin' Pirate show and book signing.
That's right, with our friend Erica.
Erica Carlson. We just love her every time. So, great time to get out there, see the new library if you haven't been there yet.
Yes, and for anyone, this is on Monday, June 26th at the Orange Branch Library. Stay safe on campus. We have a detective, Cassandra Schaefer from the Ohio State University Police Department, and she's going to give some tips about staying safe on a college campus.
I absolutely love we're doing this one.
Yes, if you are a parent and you have a child who is entering college, in college, thinking about college one day, this would be a great thing for you and your child to go to together to learn about some of those tips on how you can stay safe on a campus.
Adaline, I think we need to do that for your brother.
For sure.
Yeah, and then we also have, as we all know, I'm obsessed with Ohio.
Yes.
At the Ostrander Branch on Friday, June 30th, we have Learn and Meet Ohio Animals.
Yes.
So we'll see if we can get some deer to bow to us here, or, what animal can I get to respond to me in a cool way?
That's awesome.
That's from 2 to 3, again, at the Ostrander Branch.
And that's what's happening at your library. So we appreciate you listening. Adaline, thank you so much for being our guest. And
Yeah,
Molly,
I'm going to keep
thanks
beaming
for
with pride.
bringing your niece along. Mark, thank you for helping on the board. And until next week, we will see you in the stacks.
Thanks for listening to Off the Shelf, sponsored by Helpline of Delaware and Morrow County, and by Beanbag Books. Join us again next Friday morning at 9 o'clock right here on My 96.7.